Hello, everyone. Welcome back to TARTLEcast. You're here with Alexander McCaig and Jason Rigby. Today, we just want to go over a couple elements regarding AI companies. So, there's a lot of you out there. Everybody's trying to build a model, and I want to get down to brass tacks on this. AI is helpful for a lot of things when it comes to the flows of commercial processes, scouring public records on the internet. And we know in the early days when AI models were trained, they were using sensitive data or private data that they shouldn't have been using. So they had to shut that off. Now, artificial intelligence or machine learning, deep machine learning, has become even more prolific in its use, but also requirements for data it needs to ingest. Now, the key things that it needs don't come typically from the public sphere. It doesn't really happen as a public document. The things that really train the nuances of artificial intelligence or machine learning happens in the implicit knowledge of human beings, which means it's the stuff going on internally, stuff that's not really shared. It's the aspects or characteristics that are so unique to each individual human being for how they see the world, how they perceiving knowledge, how they are sharing knowledge, how they interact with others. Artificial intelligence needs that. It needs to understand how to reason better, but it can't do it unless it really gets that nitty-gritty, completely bespoke, specific data from individuals.
Like a real-time human feedback.
Yeah, you need this thing called real-time human feedback. So artificial intelligence firms, especially the smart ones that are really forward-looking, have been coming to TARTLE and be like, hey, we want to connect to this record of human beings, stuff that doesn't exist online. We want private videos. We want audio recordings of private events. We want to understand how people speak, intonations in their voice. I want to understand how people are feeling on a daily basis. I want to understand their dream states. I want all of these different elements that come together to help train these models and make them far more robust, right? It's called fine-tuning. Now, in the past...
Well, this is what's crazy, because I want people to understand this. Right now, they're having such problems getting this type of data that they're creating synthetic data.
Right. Yeah, that's right. So when you create this synthetic data, they try to create a model of, say, like me or Jason, to say, this is what Jason looks like. And then we're going to plug this fake data into our system and use that to then train the system. That's not a really good process. That's like saying I'm going to maintain the health of my body if I eat my food, throw it up, and then re-eat that same food. I'm not going to get more nutrients out of it the second time. It depreciates over time. But in artificial intelligence, this is called an error rate. So your error rate increases in these models. So it's really, really important that you're always getting dynamic, ever-changing, totally nuanced, and how would I say, novel data from human beings.
Well, what's funny too, when it comes to synthetic data, how do you know that data that it's creating is accurate?
Well, you don't know. It's a best guess approach, and when your synthetic data gets closer to 50% of your model's total data input ingestion that it requires for ongoing training, your error rates become so large that the model collapses over time. So in order to take a more economical approach, a more robust and sustainable approach to model training and have it give better outcomes or better responses to a prompt or understanding its world around it, it needs to constantly get new information from us as human beings.
Yeah.
You can't get it from public data sets because inevitably more of the stuff that's being published online is being published using artificial intelligence. And so what happens is it's doing more of that regurgitative process where it's circular in the fact that it's just only speaking to itself.
Yeah, well, and I also think that people need to understand when you're creating an output or a prediction, and then you put a algorithmic bias into it, that's where you start having problems and this is where real-time human feedback with TARTLE helps, because we not only is it ethical, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit, how it's ethically sourced, just like Starbucks does with their farmers with coffee.
You do with coffee and food. You should do with data, right?
You want to have ethically sourced data.
Yeah.
But it's also, when you're dealing with real-time human feedback, it's extremely diverse. And I want you to talk about that especially we have a large company that we're working with, and that diversity is the key.
Yeah, diversity is a big key. So the model wants to make sure that it has almost a copied image of the demographics of planet Earth. Now, I would say it's only 50% of the picture when it comes to model training, is to make sure that I have this many people of this race, of this age, right? You want to get these samples in place. But the other thing that, and TARTLE specializes in that, it allows you to go in as an artificial intelligence company and source from very specific demographics that you're looking for. But if you want to drill deeper in your training, you can take on personal characteristics of people that are immaterial, essentially thoughts, behaviors. And when you have those in place, your samples become ever richer. And you get to put in that robustness, you get to put more novel things in. And so your artificial intelligence model gets to establish, whether it establishes weights automatically. What it does is it has to link pieces of information together. It's always creating this map, like your mind has, and associating weights between information. You need humans to be in there to help, decide how those weights get associated properly. Now, weights are associated differently amongst human beings for what we think is reasonable and valuable to us. And that also changes across cultures. It changes across age groups. So it's very important that you use a system that has the flexibility to bring in all of those rich, unique aspects of what it means to be a human being, and use that to bring that diversity into your models. One of the major fallbacks we've seen in artificial intelligence is that we've put it in front of the human beings. What people tend to forget almost all of the time is that human beings are the ones that designed artificial intelligence. So we, in our information, must always be leading it. But at this time, we've inverted that paradigm, and it's leading us and generating content that is teaching us. And
you're so right about that.
We need to flip that back over. Never, ever, 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 ever will it be logically possible for our technology to be in front of us, because we are the creators of that technology. But the second we flip that paradigm in our minds, or in a societal sense or in a business sense, you're already creating systemic issues across the board, and it's going to weaken your model. So you have to make sure you put people first at the front end of your model.
And I also think what's really important too, and I know a lot of data scientists will agree with this, AI scientists, that you need accelerated development.
Yeah.
So you have to have streamlined data acquisition, and that speeds up the project timeline, that AI project timeline.
In 45 minutes, you can be, if you have a modicum of intelligence on your development team, the scientists at an AI group have the ability to tie into TARTLE and start sourcing data.
Right.
You can plug that data can automatically be feeding into your AI, and your servers can send those responses back and generate more requests for more data from more human beings. And so wherever you go, AI is moving very quickly, and the teams are adapting very quickly because they're trying to make big commercial gains. So they're trying to find differentiation. So the only way you can get data that matches the pace of how you are differentiating is to come to a system like ours. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes 100%. And this is another thing that we talked about this with the farmers, the ethical data practices, full compliance with global privacy regulations.
Yeah.
So if I'm an AI firm in Ireland, or I'm an AI firm in Indonesia, or I'm out of Silicon Valley, with the type of data that I'm getting, based on the model that I have or that I'm working with, what does that look like? Not just the ethical, but the compliance aspect too.
Sure. Yeah, so it was really important that the technologically how TARTLE's designed, you can go look at the patent online. We wanted to make sure that the consumer, the people generating the data, are in 100% control. So what happens is it removes the third-party responsibility of data management and puts it onto zero-party data responsibility. When you do that, consenting and permissioning of information happens at the data generator level. So it's always ahead of policy. See, policy is designed to manage third parties who are holding your information, Jason. But the way this is designed is Jason gets to manage his own info.
Yeah, the providence lies in me. And then I turn around and have that conversation with who I want to sell the data
That's
to.
correct. And so when you have that level of data provenance and permissioning that occurs, and you're in that level of control, you have sovereignty over it, it opens up the amount of access and unsilos data essentially everywhere. And TARTLE has the ability to put people into collective groups for you. So you get individual permissions, but you can get it from groups of millions of people. That's fantastic.
Which is totally different than third-party data where you have to kind of skirt around. Somebody may want to give you permission that seems pretty intimate, but if they're willing to sell that data and they give permission for that, then you're able to legally buy that data.
Yeah, and I'll tell you this:
where third parties, you can't. You got to step away from the political aspects of things, gender aspect of things, whatever.
Yeah, you can't do any of that. People can self-target themselves, which means you get much richer contextual information by going directly to the source. You feel me on that?
Yeah.
And so the difference is you don't have to spend time scrubbing out data to make it anonymous, or having your data science teams do map reduction to get down to things. we have elements built in place to do that map reduction for you automatically. And then on top of that, no scrubbing required, no extra payment required, no economic drawdown cost on your data. You get rich data in, you pay for it up front, you get exactly what you need. And when you want more, you come right back to the funnel. That's all you got to do. And so we're here, we designed this tech so that we can now put human beings back at the forefront of artificial intelligence rather than artificial intelligence at the forefront of human beings. Okay? That'll never work. And anybody who contends with that, you need to sit down and think a little bit longer because you got the story wrong. All right? Just think about the logic of that flow. And so what we want to do, establish this human record, put the data creators in control of their data and have them permission it directly, be way ahead of policy, show policy where it needs to be, set the standard because in the data world, no one's had that standard. So we want to make sure that that's earmarked in place. And if you're an AI company that wants to get the best data in the world from any group of people, no matter what you're training, you should come to us because we get you in touch with those groups. And whether it's issues with the 4th, 5th, and 6th Amendment because you're a government entity, or it's issues with HIPAA, GDPR, CCPA in terms of your data protection, right? And your needs for sourcing that data, or you've just been struggling so much with sourcing data from third parties and the costs are high, but the value you get back out of your systems is so low, come over to us.
Yes.
Okay? Or if you're a creator on Hugging Face that has 90,000, 100,000 models that are built on there for AI, but no data to train it on, don't train it on the same data samples that other people were doing.
Right.
Get something new and unique.
Yeah, these old data set marketplaces have been around for a long time, and people are it's regurgitating.
Yeah, it's really
those birds in the nest. It's like, oh,
yeah,
that's a great.
That's what
don't
it is.
be hopping from nest to nest.
No, you don't need to hop from nest to nest. So if you're an AI firm, ML firm, you're looking to get zero and first party data, you're worried about compliance, you want to have robustness, you want to be unique, you want stuff that's novel, and you want your system to actually generate something valuable for those that are putting prompts into it, you got to come to TARTLE. So you can reach out to us any way, shape, or form. But apart from that, we think
TARTLE.co.
Yeah, TARTLE.co.
TARTLE.co.
Call us,
click
email,
the button.
schedule.
We're there.
We're here for you. But give us a buzz, reach out to us, and thank you for joining us today on the show.